Sports Hour.
Welcome back from the
This is for sixth position, or it was, because Albon has just driven around the side of his good friend.
Thompson with the giveaway. Here's a chance in front. Oh, what a goal by Taves Thompson! TNT blows it up.
Or Quinn.
Or Paterka.
I think they perform better. You know, just they have better chemistry. They move on the ice better. They pass better.
But it's adding
It's just
on
going
to,
into the whole
yeah,
Grand
it's
Prix.
adding on to the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship.
Good evening, sports fans. I am your host, the double-braided Ethan Smith of tonight's rendition of Sports Hour, coming after you after the fact for the first time in my hosting career. I am happy to be joined by our executive producer and the GOAT herself, Jenna Polito.
Thank you.
And
It's
as
been
you
a
can
while.
tell from the TV behind us, we're going to be talking some NFL, and you might be thinking, Ethan, the NFL season's over. Nobody cares anymore. But this is when the season really gets going, in my opinion.
Yes. I think the draft is in a few weeks, and we have been seeing in the past few weeks some free agency moves, and they have shaken things up quite a bit. Especially to start it off, we have Kirk Cousins signing a deal to go to the Atlanta Falcons for, I believe this is a historical deal, $180 million for 4 years.
Yeah. Lots of money shelled out to Kirkio, which partially I think is deserved, and partially I think is definitely. I mean, you're paying $180 million on a 4-year deal to a 33-year-old quarterback who has won in the playoffs once in his entire career. He's won one playoff game, but he is going into a really good situation. I think he's got lots of weapons out there. He's got Bijan Robinson. He's got Kyle Pitts. He's got Drake London. He's got lots of guys out there. They also have a pretty solid defense. So I think the signing makes sense, but also not the quarterback who I thought was going to be ending up in Atlanta. The guy I thought was going to end up in Atlanta goes by the name Justin Fields. He's suiting up for a different team next season. That team is
The Pittsburgh Steelers, and it is unclear whether he's going to be the backup to Russell Wilson, who they also picked up.
yeah, a little bit of a confusing move.
Very confusing, especially because who knows what's happening with Kenny Pickett. I mean,
Pickett
I feel
got
bad.
dealt.
I feel bad for the guy.
They cut Kenny Pickett.
I mean, you just see all of this news about, hey, so we're getting Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I don't know why they.
Yeah, could you imagine being like a quarterback or like any player in the NFL during free agency season? You're just like sitting on your couch, relaxing, maybe got some golf on, maybe got a dog around, and then all of a sudden, boom, your replacement gets hired. Like, how many jobs do you got? Could you imagine like you're like in an office, and like, and there was like someone that was like, oh, we're trading for this guy from HR from like Chicago, and you got fired. Yeah, Kenny Pickett, he wasn't very good in my opinion.
No. I believe he went to the Philadelphia Eagles, which another big name going to the Eagles. Their rival Saquon Barkley. I can't believe how many moves were made within the conferences.
Yeah, lots of interdivisional action happening. I know for us specifically, like we got the Patriot. Well, we signed David Edwards, who's a former Patriot. But yeah, that was a big thing. I think Micah Parsons, the DN for Dallas, was the first one to respond with something about that. Was like, oh yeah, we'll take note of that. Dallas, I'm more surprised that Philadelphia still has cap space.
Yeah.
But it was definitely very odd to see Saquon Barkley being moved for to like a rival. He wasn't even traded, I don't think. I think he was released and signed. Where's he traded?
I think he was traded. Let me see.
He might have been traded.
Yeah, who knows? Another interdivisional was that's not interdivisional. We had Gabe Davis and Mitch Morse, our center, both going to the Jaguars.
Yeah.
They were released by us, and then they were picked up by the Jags. But we did have Jordan Poyer, who is now picked up by the Miami Dolphins, which stings a little bit, but it is understandable. Gotta go where the money is.
Right. Yeah, and the money is not in Buffalo. That is
Definitely not.
very apparent by the moves, or I guess lack thereof, that we have made. Not a lot of guys we're bringing in we're keeping a lot of things in house.
Yes.
I think is the optimistic way of putting it. The most notable names that we signed was like Mac Hollins, the receiver from Atlanta. Nicholas Morrow, a linebacker from Philadelphia, had 100+ tackles last season. And I think the bigger news is who we kept rather than who we went out and got. We kept Daquan Jones on a 2-year deal. I think he was really instrumental in our defensive game plan last season. We're getting Matt Milano back. We had to get rid of a lot of good players. So we had to get rid of Tre'Davious White and Mitch Morris and Jordan Poyer. Micah Hyde also did not come back. So we're going out with a new safety tandem, a new first cornerback. But we're keeping the defensive line together, except I think our best defensive edge last season, Leonard Floyd, did not get re-signed. We let him go in free agency. He was on a 1-year deal. I think part of that's because it would have been too expensive, but did lead the team in sacks last season. So it'll be interesting to see how we replace that production, perhaps by A.J. Epinesa, who also got re-signed to a 2-year deal.
I think the one thing that is interesting, one of the most notable moves Buffalo has made, is that we re-signed Mitch Trubisky, which he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, had a few terrible games, and that is why Kenny Pickett was their starter, who was also terrible. But for some reason, every time he was in Buffalo as our starter, he was great. So it must be something in the air.
Yeah. I think part of that is the fact that Buffalo actually has a competent offensive coordinator, unlike the Pittsburgh Steelers, who did not and might not and probably will not for the foreseeable future. But yeah, I think he's bad, and I think, like every Bills fan, even if we had Tom Brady backing up Josh Allen, we never want to see him because if Josh goes down, the team goes down. Also, a big re-signing. I guess the biggest free agent signing that we can point to is a 3-year, $30 million contract given to Curtis Samuel, who was a longtime receiver in both Washington and also Carolina.
He was actually on my fantasy team.
He was on your
Won
fantasy
me a
team.
lot of points. So happy
so
about
let's
that.
hope he continues that work in Buffalo. He was and then we also brought back All-Pro left tackle Deion Dawkins on a 3-year, $60.5 million contract. He was entering his final year. We re-signed him ahead of time. That's actually making him one of the top 5 paid left tackles in the NFL. And I think that's more of a matter of the fact that good offensive tackles are so hard to get that when you get one that's even average, you got to pay him big time schmackers to keep him around, because I don't know if he's $60.5 million total worthwhile, but who if not him, who we also brought back safety Taylor Rapp, who will start for us. He started for us in the playoffs when Micah Hyde went down, and he will start for us. Probably.
I would assume so.
And also we brought back a nickel corner, Taron Johnson, who I think is probably the most underrated member of our defense. Taron Johnson, he controls the tempo. He's not, if you watch a Bills game, approximately every play you will see Taron Johnson somewhere, making stuff happen.
I think one of the teams that I definitely watched with all of this, I mean, we had Justin Fields going to Pittsburgh instead of the Bears, so that means that the Bears are 100% gearing up to grab Caleb Williams, who is supposed to be the number 1 draft pick. He is a quarterback out of USC. And I mean, they do have first pick overall. But it is interesting to see what they're doing. They also picked up DeAndre Swift from Philadelphia. I just don't know what they're building. I don't know what they have in store. It's just going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. Because I think that that's a team that they've made a lot of really big splashes this offseason. They brought in Keenan Allen, who again is past his prime, but still a really solid receiver. DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett, Jalen Johnson, Kevin Byard, Jonathan Owens, all of those guys. Most of them are defensemen. That's really showing me a commitment to having the best possible situation for the heir presumptuous to be Caleb Williams to come in. Arguably one of the best situations a first overall draft pick has come into in a while. His offensive line is really solid. He's got a good center in Cody Whitehair. They actually did trade for Ryan Bates, one of our offensive linemen, who looked really solid in the limited time he got. He's got 2 good running backs. He's got a couple of good receivers with Keenan Allen now, and also like Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett that just signed. So unlike in most situations, where I think that the first overall quarterback is coming into a team that's terrible, i.e. Trevor Lawrence a couple years ago, he came into the Jaguars and that team was dog. We will see. We're expecting to see probably, hopefully, I guess would be the idea, better performances in a better situation. And this also last season they did a lot of work too. They signed Tremaine Edmonds. They signed other players. So I'm looking forward at least to see how Caleb Williams thrives in this offense.
I think another thing that really shocked me, and I think it shocked a lot of other fans too, Derrick Henry, the running back from Tennessee. Yes.
Tennessee.
He is going to the Baltimore Ravens, which, I mean, we've seen how the Ravens did this season. We've seen how Lamar Jackson he was the 2023 MVP. So just, that is going to be a stacked offense, even with just them. It's just...
Yeah. I'm
intimidated.
Quite scared of that Baltimore team up there in the AFC South up there? AFC South? Yeah, I think the AFC South. Definitely the AFC South, I think. It's Baltimore, Jacksonville. Yeah, who cares? I think AFC South. They are, this happens every year. I think running backs, I think their agents only know of one team in the association. I don't think I've ever seen like a high-profile running back voluntarily sign with a team that wasn't Baltimore. Like, Saquon got traded to Philly. Chris Johnson got traded to Tennessee. Like,
I mean, Tony Pollard, I don't know if he got traded or if he willingly, I don't know.
yeah, but Tony Pollard's like, Tony Pollard. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, he was pretty good for the Cowboys.
And he was okay, but he was running behind the best offensive line in football. I mean, like, Derrick Henry is like the guy.
Yeah, Derrick Henry.
Back, and he's been the
Tony
guy
Pollard.
for like a lot of seasons. He's got like 2K rushing yards in the past 4 years. And now he's 31. Now he's going to get paid in Baltimore and lose in the divisional round because Lamar Jackson can't win in the playoffs. That being said, teams that didn't make the playoffs have something to look forward to. They've been looking forward to this for months. Coming up rather quickly is the NFL draft. Now,
This draft.
a lot of teams are imagining history will be made.
Yes, because for the first time in history, it looks like the first 4 overall draft picks are going to be quarterbacks, which there has never been. We have never seen quarterbacks being of this importance in a draft, especially up top. It's always been wide receivers, running backs, defensive ends, something. But I mean, especially with all of these teams, I don't know how many changes with quarterbacks we had this season, but there was a lot. So it definitely seems like there's a need for them, and
there's definitely a big vacuum at the position of quarterback, especially with teams that may not have played as well. Look for lots of trades on draft night, lots of exchanges, and maybe 4 quarterbacks going 1 through 4. We'll talk more about that next week. That's all we have time for in this segment, though. We're going to have a quick 2-minute break, and we're going to talk some NHL with Michael. Don't go anywhere.
To Sofia and Gabriel, mis flores, my little flowers. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love, so you can take me with you wherever you go, near or far. These stitches and threads join us together. Me, your mother, and both of you. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you as you bring our colorful stories to the world.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
And welcome back to Sports Hour. I'm joined by Michael Ledich. We're going to talk some puck, Michael.
Yeah.
And there's been lots of movement around the standings and around the wild card picture especially.
Yeah.
So where should we start, Michael?
Where to begin? Well, first off, Rangers #1 in the league, tied with the Canucks.
Tied for #1.
Tied, but Sabres are currently clawing for this wild card spot
We're
that
not
they
gonna make
will
the wild
not
card
get. Islanders and Devils are also both pushing very hard to get it. The Detroit Red Wings just got knocked down, and they are 1 point off from it, trying to get that back. We also got, I believe, 4 teams are now eliminated from playoff contention. The San Jose Sharks, Chicago Blackhawks, Anaheim Ducks, and the Blue Jackets are all eliminated from playoff contention now, which is something.
Which I consider the Sharks weren't going to make the playoffs when they lost 12, it was 20 games in a row this season. Didn't they have that historic loss streak?
Yeah, they were the worst in the league. The Blackhawks did fall a little bit. Once Bedard went out on injury, the Blackhawks could not do anything.
Right, once the entire team was on the IL.
The only player that mattered.
The future of the franchise. I think if they didn't get Bedard, Chicago wouldn't be a team this year. They wouldn't have any fans. It's fourth.
Oh yeah, no, they wouldn't have a point. They would.
Right, what would you be watching for? You know.
Yeah.
At least Connor Bedard has been providing some really interesting hockey. But you are correct. The current wild card teams are the Tampa Bay Lightning. In the Eastern Conference, Tampa Bay Lightning are 85 points for the wild card, and the second place in the wild card is the Washington Capitals, who have 79 points. And the only team that's been completely eliminated in the East is the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have 58 points. Mathematically, the Canadiens, Senators, Penguins, Sabres, Devils, Islanders, and Red Wings are all jockeying for position, trying to get to that coveted wild card position. The Buffalo Sabres, odds are not on their side.
No,
they need to start winning now, and they need to start probably getting some help. They have 73 points, which is 6 points back from the second place. You might be thinking, 6 points back. That's only 2 wins.
Yeah.
Problem is, the Devils, Islanders, and Red Wings are all closer, and they all have, I don't know who has games left here. It doesn't say how many games they have left, but they've played more games than all of those teams. The Sabres have played 72 games. Every team ahead of them has either played 71 or 70. So we need help, and we need it fast.
Well, Islanders are also struggling as well because they were about 1 point off, and then they just cannot break their losing streak right now.
The New York Islanders
cannot. They can either go lose in overtime or lose regulation. They cannot win. I think the only reason that they even have a chance is due to just overtime points alone.
Right.
That they're not even winning.
Those pity points. They add up because you're right. The Islanders have lost 15 overtime games this season. They cannot get it done in the extra frame in that 3-on-3, which is surprising because they have a lot of good goaltending, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You would think that, with less bodies on the ice, the goalies would be more reactive, like Ilya Sorokin.
Yeah, and good goaltending is really all that kind of matters with hockey, especially when it gets closer to playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to just need a goaltender who can just stop pucks. That's really all you need, and you can just ride that goaltender straight.
Right. And it's interesting that you bring that up because among wild card qualifying teams currently, teams that are not limited for playoff contention and still fighting for a wild card spot, there are 3 in the East that have a neutral or positive goal differential, meaning they've scored more goals than they've conceded. The Tampa Bay Lightning are first with plus 15 among wild card teams in the East, and the Red Wings are plus 6. The Sabres are 0. We have scored and conceded the same amount of goals this season. Every other team is far in the negatives. For example, the Detroit Islanders are minus 27 goal differential. So when the Islanders lose, they lose badly.
Yes.
And so the Sabres, though, have had really, really, really strong goaltending this season. I think UPL has been one of the best goaltenders, especially since the January 1st. He's first in GAA, first in save percentage, first in shutouts. He's been a monster this season. It's been everyone else that's been letting him down. That's enough about the Sabres, though. Let's head to the Western Conference, where the wild card picture is a little bit more clear-cut, but not exactly. There's more teams that can't make it. But is what I mean by clear
Yeah,
cut?
3 teams eliminated already,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean,
7 still fighting for a shot. The eliminated teams are the Ducks, Blackhawks, and Sharks, as mentioned previously. Coyotes, Kraken, Flames, Wild, Blues, in that order, are draft position that is currently held by the Nashville Predators, who are in first with 88 points, which is crazy that they have 88 points and they are in a wild card position.
Yeah.
That just goes to show you how stacked the Central Division really is, with the Winnipeg Jets, Dallas Stars, and Colorado Avalanche all hanging around 90, 93 plus points. And the Vegas Golden Knights, who is that team that will not go away.
no, they will not. I think it's kind of interesting that they are holding a wild card spot though, and not a regular spot, considering they were last year's Stanley Cup champions. So.
But last year they didn't get to move into the playoffs anyways.
What?
Right? Like I thought that the last season the Vegas Golden Knights didn't look very strong in the regular season, but really turned it on come postseason.
Well, yeah, I guess that's just what you have to do. I mean, a wild card slot, you never know what's going to happen, and just anything can change. A random team from the bottom can just come up and win.
Right, and I think that's the best part about the playoffs, especially because like the Boston Bruins, who were mathematically the best team in hockey history last season, got bounced first round, which I thought was it first round or second round they lost last year.
I'm not too sure on the numbers.
I think it was the first round or second round. It was really embarrassing because they got reverse swept. And
yeah, playoffs, you never know what's going to happen.
I laughed very much. But I know you want to talk about them, so let's talk about the New York Rangers, who are on a one-game winning streak, but they're 7-1-2 in their last 10. They're on a tear. They're red hot. They are, again, I hate to say it, tied for first in the NHL with 98 points, tied with the Canucks. What are they doing right, do you think?
I think goaltending is huge. I mean, Igor Shesterkin is one of the best goaltenders in the league, and Jonathan Quick already has like 3 Stanley Cup championships with him.
He brings that vet experience.
Yeah, one of the best.
Because he qualifies for Social Security. Because that guy is in a retirement home. Isn't he like 85? He's got to be like Wayne Gretzky age. I think Jonathan Quick was in the league before I was born. I'm willing to argue. Actually, let's look it up.
He's older, but he can still play, and he's still doing good.
Quick debut. Keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, Quick's doing good. Igor's doing good. He got back-to-back shutout games. And he was struggling a little bit a couple months ago, but after the All-Star games, he really just came back and just shut it down and has been really good at stopping pucks. Jonathan Quick as well has been amazing.
2005.
I was born. I was born.
So this guy came into the world the year Jonathan Quick debuted, and he is still playing.
Yeah, I believe that he has the most wins among American-born goalies, actually. So that just tells you how long that he's been playing.
Yeah. But who am I to fault him? Who am I to fault the Rangers because it's working? I wish we had a Jonathan Quick on our bench this year. But yeah, Igor Shesterkin has been and continued to have been undeniably one of the best, if not the best goaltender in the league. And I think that, notably that, I think also the Rangers' ability to score goals quickly, which obviously that's like no duh. Yeah. But like the rate at which they can score, I think, is probably the most impressive part, in my opinion, when I'm watching their games. Yeah. Because it could go from like 3-1 to tied in like 4 minutes.
Yes. You see that especially with the Rangers-Islanders games, both of them. The Stadium Series game was something that we were down by 3 goals, and we come up right at the end and tie it and then take it in the first 5 seconds of overtime. And then even the last Islanders game, Islanders were up a little bit, and then we just said no, and we come back, and we just have such good players with Artemi Panarin being one of the highest goal scorers, I think, in the league right now, plus Mika Zibanejad, Trocheck, and even some lesser people like Adam Fox.
Zibanejad. Sorry, that's just my bias. I think Zibanejad, his name's dumb. That's all I got.
You're going to say that when your goaltender is, what is Luka?
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is 4 million times cooler than Zibanejad.
Than Mika Zibanejad.
Yes, easily. That's not even a competition.
It's
not even remotely similar. Like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's here, like off camera here, and Zibanejad is below the desk in terms of coolness of name. Zibanejad.
I'm gonna have to disagree.
Yeah, you would too. You would too. Yeah, Jonathan Quick is 2.44 GA, is 4th in the league. Sergei Bobrovsky in Florida. We haven't talked about much about Florida. But
No.
the Panthers are, in my opinion, scary this season.
Yeah, no, they're a team that you always have to watch out for. Very tricky team.
Very tricky team. Very physical team, too. Like, they wear you down on the ice. And, again, a big part of their game as they lead the league in goal differential is Sergei Bobrovsky does not allow the biscuit to end up in nylon very often.
That's the thing.
If you
Goaltending is the most important thing
Yeah,
in
and
hockey.
like if you get more than 2 goals against the Panthers, and if you can't win a game with scoring more than 2 goals, with scoring only 2 goals, you probably won't beat the Florida Panthers.
I mean, Rangers played Panthers actually, I believe, last night or 2 days ago. It went all the way into a shootout because of how good both of their goaltending
Because no one could score.
Because no one could.
Because Shesterkin and Bobrovsky were looking at the other side of the net and just refused to let the puck in.
Yeah.
Not the best in the league, though. The Vancouver Canucks hold that honor. The Vancouver Canucks, another team. Their goaltender is really good, but I think most impressive about the Canucks is their defense is really good. Those 6-7 guys, they can really control the flow of the game, and also don't lose possession very often. The Canucks in the great city of Vancouver, I think they're probably not my pick. I haven't made a selection who I think is going to win the Stanley Cup yet. I'm reserving.
Rangers, obviously.
I would have never guessed. No, I haven't made a selection yet. But early on, I think Vancouver is looking really good. They play tonight. They have a chance to take the outright lead in the NHL. Let's play the Los Angeles Kings. Who also looked really solid this year, 85 points.
Yeah, LA Kings are always a good team. They're always a team they have to look out for. There's so many teams that just will sweep in right at the end, and I think they are one of them that will be one to look out for in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Kings definitely have that. They had that underdog that catches fire at the right time kind of vibe to them. But I think the team that most has that kind of vibe to them is the Edmonton Oilers, and they have had the best player in the NHL every season since he came into the league, Connor McDavid, who I think is undisputed best player in the NHL, and they've never been able to figure it out with him. They've never been able to succeed in the postseason. He's like the Josh Allen of the NHL. Do you think this is the year for the Edmonton Oilers?
I think it could be. I think definitely. I mean, look at the 16-game win streak that they went on.
Yeah.
That was insane. Almost like most in the league. I think they lost by 1 because Vegas took them out. But
Yep. Yeah.
I think that just shows how good they are playing.
And how good they can be for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Because think about it, 16 games, that's all you got to win to win the Stanley Cup. 16 games in a row. They did it once a season. They can definitely do it again.
Yeah.
And I hope we get to do this again next week on Sports Hour. But that's the end of this segment. We're going to have a quick 2-minute break before we talk some other goal scoring with the NLL with Lily right after this. Don't go anywhere, guys. Stick around.
When you think of the local lowdown, what do you think of?
Well, when I think of the local lowdown, it's the live music that we have played in the studio.
It's gotta be the laughs we shared. The memorable moments during the whole thing. Oh my God, so fun.
The local lowdown for me is the people behind the scenes, the amazing team that we have making the show.
Oh, it's gotta be exploring all sorts of genres and music I've never heard before.
Oh, easy. Going out to shows and talking to artists and getting the latest news on what they have planned for the future.
It's about these artists, man. Giving them a platform to showcase what they've worked so hard on and show their music to the community. It's all about supporting the local scene of music to keep it running for years to come. And of course, the band merch. You can't forget about the merch.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to Sports Hour. I am joined now by Lily Hauer.
That's me.
See what I did there with that little rhyme scheme? That A-B-A-B.
Hauer Hour.
Hauer Hour. It's a shame that the whole 2 years Trevor was hosting that. He
I know.
never made that joke. I would have called it Sports Hauer immediately.
I know. We
My
made the
last name
joke when he
Hauer.
was here, though. We did get that opportunity
Yeah,
to
Sports
do it.
Sports Hauer.
Sports Hauer. And then Brent was there that one time, but it was fine.
Right, but he's like an honorary Hauer.
Right, essentially.
I refuse to honor the Buffalo Bang Average Bandits. We sit.
Oh, I'm going to honor the Bandits.
7-7, Bang at 500.
They did
tied
beat the
with
Toronto
Panther
Rock,
City
though,
Lacrosse Club.
who they just lost to.
The Panther City Lacrosse Club. Where even is Panther City?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas. Who cares about Fort Worth?
And they don't
Fort
care
Worth
about
lives.
lacrosse. They don't care about lacrosse. So that was kind of a tough loss. But
We
it was
lost
fine.
to, like the charity team.
Yeah.
Like, losing to,
Basically.
like, the Nova Scotia Raiders.
No,
which
literally.
we also did this season.
The Nova Scotia
Halifax
Thunderbirds.
Halifax Thunderbirds.
But I can tell you who we did beat on Friday, March 8th. That was the Saskatchewan Rush. And that was a fantastic game. That was with Jenna Polito. Well, I saw it with Jenna Polito, and that was super fun.
She
That
was
was
not
her.
playing.
That was her.
Our EP was not playing.
She was not
the
playing the
Buffalo
game.
Bandits.
No. Yeah. So I went with her. That was like her first like official, like real fun Bandits game that she got to go to. And it was Guardians of the Galaxy night, so that was super cool. They got to wear their Marvel jerseys. It was a really just like close game throughout the entire thing, which wasn't easy to watch.
Yeah, must have been very nerve-wracking. It did finish 14-12.
Yeah.
Bandits win.
It was actually, this one was, we got 15 in this one. What was the total? This one was 15-14 Bandits in overtime.
Oh, yes, Saskatchewan Rush. Sorry.
Yeah,
Looking
no,
at
no,
the
no.
wrong game.
You're totally
Looking
good.
at the wrong game.
It was just absolutely crazy to see because for most of the, I think the main thing that we've been saying about the Bandits like this entire season is like they need to focus on face-offs. Like they
Yes.
absolutely need to win these face-offs. We did. We got roughly like 82% of our face-offs. It was 27-33, all thanks to Connor Farrell in his first game. And it's his birthday today.
Happy
so
birthday, Colin Farrell.
happy birthday,
Thank you for
Goat.
the face-off wins.
Yeah, right? But it was still a really close game, and we won most of those face-offs. So where's the defense?
Yeah, Farrell is also a beast in terms of just like winning possessions for the Bandits,
Mhm.
both with faceoffs and also with loose balls. He led the entire game with 19 loose balls
Yeah.
pickups in this game, and also cannot not mention that the Buffalo Bandits started winning games again when our geriatric goaltender Matt Vince came back into the frame. He saved 47 shots.
Crazy.
Of the let me do some math here, 61 that he faced that night, because he allowed 14 goals, but 47 saves and again going to overtime is nothing to scoff at for
No,
sure.
absolutely not. Yeah, it was a great game, especially going in, because the week after that, we were facing the Toronto Rock, which they still, I believe, still are the number one team in the league.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they
13
are.
and 3, I think. 13 and 2.
They, I do not like the Rock at all. So that was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, they're 12 and 3. First in the league at 12 and 3.
They're just
one game clear of the San Diego Seals. Good name for a
There's
team.
one thing about me. Oh, the San Diego Seals, they just clinched a playoff spot, which
Yeah.
I'm not very happy
Yeah,
about.
they
But
are 11 and 4.
you know what?
Albany on their tail at 10 and 5. That makes the top 3 of the NLL.
I'm not going to give up on the Bandits, though. As Zach Bryan would say.
That would be silly to give up on the Buffalo Bandits.
Right. Something in the orange tells me we're not done.
Exactly.
Something in the orange jerseys.
Something
or
in
the
orange jerseys.
The
Something
orange
in
logo.
The losing in overtime to the Panther City Lacrosse Club. They don't even have a name.
We can't
They don't
discredit.
even have a name. They're called the Lacrosse Club.
I think it's kind of funky. I think that sounds like kind of fancy and like posh. I'm not going to diss it for the name.
I know like the English do that. The
Right.
British people
The people.
call their soccer teams football clubs.
This is true.
This is America. Okay, we left that in the 1776 Revolutionary War.
This
all right.
is so true.
1781 said we name our sports teams.
We the
Mic
people.
drop.
It's
Battle
in
of
the
Yorktown.
Constitution.
George Washington. Preamble. We the people of the United States do ordain and establish this new order.
Not the
Period.
preamble of the NLL. That's what we're
Second
going to write.
sentence.
We're going to write this next week.
Second
the preamble
sentence
of the NLL.
Second sentence was, we also name our sports teams losers. I bet if they had named their sports teams, they would have won that war. We'd all be speaking British right now.
Probably. That's so true. If there were more British teams in the NLL, what would this league come to?
I digress.
Anyway.
The Panther City Lacrosse team sucks. We'll get to them in a little bit, though. Toronto Rock.
Toronto Rock.
You also went to this game.
I did. I was very lucky. I got to go to 2 games over spring break, which was nice. This time, I got to go with Trevor, who is my brother and the former host. So we got to go
Like
down.
me with longer hair.
Yeah, right. We got to go down to the 100s, which was super, super fun. Toronto Rock, that is like our bandit. That is the Bandits' rival. And not a fun game to watch. But yeah, it was the St. Patrick's Day game, so that was super fun. They got to wear their green jerseys. One thing about me is I love green.
Did they wear their green jerseys the entire game, or
Yeah.
just like the warm-ups? 'Cause I
Entire
know when
game.
the Sabres played on St. Patrick's Day last year, they only wore them for like the warm-ups, and I thought
Right.
that was so lame.
Yeah, no, they got to wear them the whole time, which was super fun.
That's how they do it. Take notes, NHL.
Yeah, right? And it was defenseman Paul Dawson's very first game as a Bandit. We got him from the Colorado Mammoth, so I don't like the
Jump ship.
Mammoth. So that was cool to get one of their amazing players on the team. First goal was scored by Ian McKay, who was number 4 on the Bandits. He's 55 on the PLL.
The
Chaos.
PLL
But
team, the Chaos.
but differently, but it's okay. But yeah, no, this game was absolutely insane. There were 14 goals. It was really back and forth, like for the first quarter.
14
and
Bandits
then,
goals, 26 goals total, 12-14
Right.
was the score of the game.
Matt Vince gave up 4 goals in the second quarter. Bandits could not score a single time in the second
Yeah,
quarter.
it was looking really dire.
Rough.
And then we remembered who we were and what we were playing for in a comeback. I think, in my opinion, led by Dane Smith, who led the team in both goals and
Absolutely.
assists this game.
Yeah,
Dane
no, for
Smith
sure.
was playing like a man possessed, and we rattled off 2 goals. We rattled off 2 goals in the third, with Matthews also scoring 1 for the Rock that quarter, and then we started the fourth quarter hot with 2 goals in rapid succession, and then we went on, and then they scored 2 goals. And then we scored 4 in a row with McClay, Cloutier, how do you say that?
Cloutier.
Cloutier,
Chris Cloutier.
Cloutier, Byrne, and Weiss all scoring in the fourth to jump from 10-12 to 12-14. And I think also Matt Vince maybe took some like energy drink or something
Yeah,
on the
right.
sideline. Or
He
remembered-
ripped a C4
Yeah,
before he went out there.
Bang Energy, Rockstar.
Yeah, we got Rise at the KeyBank Center, so he went
yeah.
up to the concessions. He was like, "Yo, man, give me an $8 Rise, and
Yeah.
I'll be back in."
Yeah, and you know what? He Captain Prime Energy, and
Yeah.
he definitely turned it on in the fourth quarter.
He definitely did it, but
Um,
where were our face-offs?
you know what?
Non-existent.
You know what? Steve Priolo.
Listen,
Steve Priolo.
I've said it once, and I will say it again.
Get
Steve
Steve
Priolo
Priolo
is not my captain, and he
off
will never be.
my team.
He is.
Get Steve Priolo off my team.
I don't.
He'd be a great assistant coach.
Right.
He'd be awesome in the film room.
I think.
Please get him far away from Buffalo Bandits lacrosse.
No, right? I don't understand why Josh Byrne hasn't gotten the assistant captain position at this point. Because I think he and Dane have such like great chemistry like already, and I
Right.
think that they could be like so great together in the locker room to like lead the rest of the team. So.
I agree entirely. Yeah.
Oh, we got a background change. There we go.
Oh,
There's the bandit.
I was wondering what was off.
It's
whole
it's
time I
not
was
a
like,
bandit segment without them.
without Marky Mark.
Without Marky Mark
Well,
and
that's Steve
Steve
Priolo,
Priolo,
right,
get him off. Get him off.
Get him going. Actually,
Hey.
here, I'll cover him up.
Brad McCulley,
I'll cover up Steve Priolo.
We're not talking about the Vancouver Warriors because I don't like them, but Brad McCulley scored with the Vancouver Warriors. They won 21 to, I want to say 8
were
against
they playing?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
And they're better than them. I'm just happy that Brad
Philadelphia's no
scored.
slouch.
Yay, Brad.
I mean, not anymore. Vancouver's a 5-9.
Yeah.
Philadelphia's 5-8. So
Panther City. Crazy game.
Fort Worth.
Chase Fraser was put on IR, so that was boo. No
Yeah.
fun.
We don't
But
like Chase Fraser on. We like him playing for us.
yeah, and he put up in the last game, like he scored.
Yeah.
So I was definitely very happy to see that. He's my boy, but whatever. So we got Adam Bomberry and Brandon Robinson back in the game, but at what cost? Because we lost.
To the
Panther City Lacrosse Club.
Lacrosse Club.
Yeah.
Real team name, by the way. That's
Yep.
not an exaggeration or a misquote. They are known as the Panther City Lacrosse Club, based out of, what'd you say?
Fort Worth,
Texas.
What do they even know about lacrosse?
What do they even know about lacrosse is right.
Buffalo knows it
Clearly
best.
more than we do.
Yeah. It
Uh,
was, but you know what? It was interesting. This game was really back and forth. Something that I noticed was it was like first quarter, okay, Bandits completely took it. Second quarter, Panther City took it. And then the third quarter, then Bandits. And then the fourth quarter, it was kind of still, it was pretty close, but the Bandits still got it. And then it got taken into overtime when Panther City scored it, or tied it to score. And
Yeah.
whatever. But then
To
they
clarify
beat us.
Louis' point, This game was really very, very, very back and forth. And I thought I watched this one. I thought we had this one live. We had this one. One was Tehoka Nanticoke buried one with 53 seconds remaining in the game.
Typical Tehoka play.
Tehoka Nanticoke in the clutch is like injected straight into my veins because I need that kind of energy because he is a beast down the stretch. And I was like, oh, Nanticoke buries 150 seconds. I'll just play some defense. But then I remember the Buffalo Bandits cannot play defense.
No, they can't.
They cannot play defense. So Crawford put one in, assisted by Knox and Donville, with 20 seconds left. And then Donville finished what Crawford started and put one with 13:20 left in overtime. Past Matt Vince. It's not over, though.
Definitely not over.
As Jeff Buckley would tell us, it's never over.
It's never over. We just have so many songs on this segment.
We have so many songs.
By so many, I mean 2. But it's okay.
And 2's more than we have on the average segment.
So true.
So it's like we usually have 0 songs in the segment. But I wanted all this season, or nothing at all. But
another one. DJ Khaled.
Looking ahead to our next game is going to be March 30th. You're taking the Philly Wings. The good news is our schedule gets easier from here on in.
For sure. Yeah, no, definitely. It's been a 3-game, little road trip for them. The hardest game, standing-wise, for them was Panther City.
Yes.
So, hopefully, they should be able to win it with Philly, I hope. It's not going to be an easy
win. Among the
win.
remaining teams, the best one we have to play among the 4 games we have left in the regular season are the Calgary Roughnecks, who are worse than us. They have 6 wins. So optimism abound. However, it's worth noting that the only team, the Toronto Rock, have 3 losses as a team. Mm-hmm. 2 of them are against us. So we play very good against good teams.
It's like the Sabres.
And trash against bad teams.
Yeah.
So we will be monitoring the situation closely. Thank you so much for coming on, Lily Howard. Always a pleasure to see you talk some NLL. But that is all we have time for today. And we will be taking a quick 2-minute break, and we will be catching up on some March Madness with Brock. Don't go anywhere.
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers, the Sisterhood of Women in Tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles, watching each other's backs,
And banding together.
we should still make an effort
We should still make an effort.
to get to know each other.
On a deeper level. Father.
Cosplayer,
Mentor.
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward. Come together.
And discover
How accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking, let's go. You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes! Make a plan today.
Welcome back to every sports fan's favorite month of the year of broken brackets and dashed hopes. And we watch as March Madness in the most March Madness kind of way. We are in this week 16, but we're going to recap all of the games. Brock, what did you notice so far through the first 32 matches of March Madness?
It was intensity, man. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm already just over this month, and it's still halfway through.
Right.
And it's a bunch of madness, as the title says.
Yeah, there's definitely. I think a lot of things in sports get over exaggerated, like the Super Bowl, calling people who win the Super Bowl the world champs. I think it's funny because we're the only country in the world that plays this sport. But I think March Madness, though, definitely lives up to the hype. I think, in my opinion, there's nothing better than watching March Madness because everybody playing is just playing for fun, and they're playing with their hearts on their sleeves. And you never can guess what is going to happen
Yeah.
come March. My bracket got busted in the second game when Duquesne beat BYU. I thought the Mormons would hold me down this year, and they did not.
You choose YU.
BYU, yeah. I'm like, they got it. They got it. They all they're focused on is basketball.
Are you serious, man?
Duquesne came back. Dude,
are
you had Duquesne over BYU?
No, I had.
See?
I had Auburn. Where did I even? Let me pull up mine because I have it.
You had Auburn beating Yale. Never bet against the Ivy Leagues.
I just want to say this
in round 1.
But yeah, I personally don't like Yale. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a great game. Yale versus Auburn. That's my favorite part about March Madness is the upsets. There were a lot this season.
Yeah. There's a bunch of upsets. Auburn, obviously, because Auburn is like a really great basketball school, and Yale is just being Yale. It's just more or less just like an upset on itself because it was only like 2 points and all that such.
Right, and it wasn't just Yale that had a massive upset. Kentucky, also known for its basketball program, they lost in the first round to Oakland because there was a man on Oakland who could not miss from 3. I don't know if you had a chance to catch this game, Brock. He was hitting everything. They weren't even playing bad defense. It wasn't like they were just like slacking and he had like a bunch of open looks. He was just hitting complete circus shots.
Yeah.
Up and down the court, and unfortunately, they lost to NC State, who was another big upset when they beat 11-6. The 11 seed to the 6 seed when NC State beat Texas Tech, and then Colorado beat Florida in a monstrously high-scoring game. Like most college basketball games end up being like in like the 70 to 80 point range. Florida lost Colorado 100 to 102.
Yes.
I don't think either team had heard of what defense was. Because that was a great game.
Yeah, it was a really great game and all that and more. But let's just switch gears real quick. Let's just look at Duke real quick. Duke is kind of cooking at the moment. It's really they beat like the easiest team, Vermont. Then they go to James Madison, which, come on. If you're facing James Madison, then that's just obviously not good. And well,
James Madison looked good against Wisconsin, and Vermont looked scary against Duke. I won't lie. Early in the game, Vermont was really keeping pace. Vermont played Duke close. They held them to 64 points, which if you look over the season, the trends for Duke like scores were like really
exactly. But like look at the score. It's 64 at 47.
Yeah,
they weren't cooking enough. I think they had the recipes.
Right, yeah, like they
had the recipes.
They started the game hot. Don't get me wrong. Like Duke eventually took control and then beat them.
But the oven wasn't hot enough.
Yeah, they beat them pretty handedly. No doubt. Duke beating Vermont 64-47, but then they came in full force and whooped up Argentina at 93-55.
Of course. Yeah, it's but still, it's Vermont. Obviously, their state is only known for their maple syrup. And, well, they got lost to the most overrated team in America. So, obviously, Duke is gonna be cooking, but against Houston, we'll have to see this upcoming game.
Yeah, and speaking of these upcoming games, we're gonna run through the Sweet 16 matchups. This time of the year, I like to look at which team is the lowest seed remaining and root for them. Besides UConn, because I love the UConn Huskies. Go Huskies! Yeah, they're my pick to win. They're my pick to win the entire tournament. They take on San Diego State, which is the 5th seed in the first matchup of Sweet 16. 3 seed Illinois takes on 2 seed Iowa State. In the other matchup of that, the East portion of the bracket, the West portion is North Carolina versus Alabama, 1 versus 4. Respectively, and then 6 seed Clemson takes on number 2 seed Arizona after what was a really good game between Arizona and Dayton.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had a chance to watch that. That's 6 versus 2, and then as we head to the South, we have 1 seed Houston, who just narrowly lost Texas A&M, who just narrowly beat Texas A&M in a game that I thought had a chance to be one of the best in the tournament. 100-95 that game finished. They take on the aforementioned Duke, which is the 4th seed, and then NC State, who are my underdogs. They are the 11th seed. Coming off big wins versus Texas Tech and Oakland. They take on Marquette, who looks nigh unstoppable. after
Yeah.
their hairy win over Colorado. They won by 4 points, but I am not confident in NC State's ability to pull that one, the Wolfpack's ability to pull that one out. And then Zach Eady's Purdue Boilermakers, which I think is one of the coolest mascots for any school, takes on the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Let's go Gonzaga, man, all the way. Gonzaga.
Who can't do it, man.
No, they can't.
They can't do it.
No. Just
They failed.
No. Just like a.
I'm not confident.
We
They,
ball.
they did beat Kansas though.
They did.
So like it was a matchup of the biggest tournament chokers between Kansas and Gonzaga in the Sweet Six in the second round of the tournament. Gonzaga winning that one versus Kansas, and then the Creighton Blue Jays take on the Tennessee Volunteers. That's 3 versus 2. Tennessee had a close game against Texas, 58-62, and then Creighton, besides they're almost scary against Akron, which again that was close until it wasn't. The first half especially was close. They then beat Oregon handedly by 13 points in the next round. So, lots of action still to happen. Your pick to finish, to win the whole thing, as you're now into the Sweet 16. So, the field's been narrowed by a quarter.
Okay.
Who do you got to win the whole thing?
Listen. So originally, when I made 2 brackets, right? I don't know what you're planning on for like the overall, but I made 2 brackets. One was Auburn. That's why I was having a little bit of I was pissed, I was a little mad at Yale earlier. So that's why I'm a little ticked off. But like right now, I made my second bracket. I'm thinking of Gonzaga because like I'm thinking they're cooking up something really good, but I personally think they could make it somehow. I'm more of like that. What's that term or phrase? That it's on the tip of my tongue, but like narrowing the gap. I think they can narrow the gaps somehow.
Brock is riding with the Bulldogs. I'm riding with the Huskies. Go UConn. They will win it all. Mark my words. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for the rest of our segment. Thank you for coming on, Brock. It was a pleasure having you. And I look forward to seeing the remainder of March Madness. But don't go anywhere. We got one more segment. We're going to talk some circle driving with KD Lee right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
And welcome back to the final segment of Sports Hour. We are joined by the lovely Catherine Lee to talk some F1, as always, to close out the show. And to close out the start of the new season, Max Verstappen won Saudi Arabia handedly, as we all assumed he would.
Yeah. But I haven't been on in a couple weeks, so there's been 3 races that have happened since I've been on, the first 3 of the season.
Right.
So Bahrain was first, no surprise. Max Verstappen won, and Sergio Perez got
Finished second.
So
boring
first
race. If you didn't watch this one, you didn't miss anything.
Yeah. So it was literally once they started the race, it was they got a new goal. Not a goal, whatever. It was the first time ever in Formula One that they've started a year the exact same as they ended it. So all drivers are on the grid, we're the same. All drivers and teams are the same as well.
Yeah.
Except for a couple name changes, but that doesn't really
Right,
matter.
like the teams got renamed, but the drivers for the teams and everybody, nobody made a change.
And then this race, I thought it was kind of a snooze fest, honestly, because
The most exciting thing happening was Logan Sargent's pit taking 30 minutes.
It was also the first time that the first race of the season didn't have red flags or yellow flags, I think. Like, literally nobody retired, nobody did anything.
Yep.
It was all...
Don't let that trick you, though. Logan Sargent got lapped twice. He finished 2 laps behind the leader.
You know what? It's okay.
Shout out my United States brethren.
We don't support.
Getting murked in Bahrain
We don't
in
support.
true American patriotism fashion.
Logan Sargent slander is not going to happen here from me.
He's been lapped in every race so far.
But
he hasn't finished on the
he's the
single.
American boy.
We gotta give him some better American boys.
He can do no wrong. Okay, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, boring. Okay,
So
Saudi
Bahrain,
Arabia.
Verstappen won both. Perez and Verstappen finished for second in both. Leclerc was Leclerc podium both times.
Oh yeah, Carlos Sainz got podium in Bahrain. But yeah, Saudi Arabia, Max Verstappen wins. Sergio Perez gets second. Charles Leclerc gets third. But it was a rookie's first race, this race, because Carlos Sainz got appendicitis.
Yep.
He did FP1. I don't think he finished it. I'm not really sure. I was not in this country, so I wasn't really paying attention that much.
Yeah, I think he tried to race qualifying and then ended up being completely the next day it had almost ruptured, I think, and he couldn't race.
So he got surgery in Saudi Arabia, and then, but that was because it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because the first 2 races were Saturday for Ramadan, which has now started and is still going on. But so on Thursday he tried doing FP1. I don't think he finished, and he didn't do FP2. Friday, I think they were still trying to figure out. No. Friday, it was announced that the 18-year-old
British lad, Oliver Bearman. And guess what he did in his first ever race?
Going to race.
Yep. Scored more points than Logan Sargent has in his entire career.
Okay.
Entire career.
No.
18-year-old British guy outscored Logan Sargent's career in 1 race. What are we doing wrong, kid?
No.
Sorry. I had to get that out there. But
Okay.
It was an incredible debut for Oliver Bearman.
So he races in Formula 2. He's the Ferrari reserve driver. He's also the Haas reserve driver. That's a lot for an 18-year-old. But
considering I'm 19.
See, he was born in 2005. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second he started driving, he became the 3rd youngest Formula 1 driver ever, behind Max Verstappen, who started at 17, and Lance Stroll, who I believe was 18, but I think the months make him older. But so that was on his Thursday, I think. He scored Formula 2 pole, but he didn't get a chance to race in that because he was racing in Formula 1. And so by the time he finished at 7th, and by the time he finished the Formula 1 race, he was higher in the Formula 1 championship and had more points than he was in his own Formula 2 championship. He was dead last in Formula 2, and he moved up to 10th in Formula 1. Granted, it was the second race, but yeah. But that was exciting, and he actually almost knocked Lewis Hamilton out of Q3 by a couple hundredths of a second or something. And when I heard that was crazy, because you're going to knock out Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion.
Yeah, he finished
in
higher
your
than
first
Logan Sargent.
qualifying when you learned that day that you have 1 practice session and qualifying before your first Formula 1 race. That's crazy.
I blew my mind.
But he qualified 11th, which is amazing for somebody who, I don't know, has only driven FP1s before. So,
right.
So, but granted, still ended the same. Max won. Sergio.
Max won. Boring. Now, the first actual cool race of the season. Not actual cool. They're all great to watch, but this one was very exciting. Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne.
Which was this weekend.
And we had a man not named Max Verstappen finish first.
So
in fact, Max
Verstappen
didn't finish at all.
Yeah, so it was his first DNF since 2022, which is crazy if you really think about it.
Right.
But he had brake failure, engine failure. His brake was on fire. It literally blew up in the pit lane. So, But nobody got injured or anything, which is fine. But
Which is the best part of everything.
Which is great.
Yeah, no, but which is like whatever, you know. No,
But-
like nobody died.
But I was watching,
guess.
so Carlos Sainz comes back from literally having his appendix out, getting surgery, and then he qualifies second, crazy. Red Bull wasn't doing great all weekend, and so somehow Max gets pole. I wasn't planning on, well, you always plan on Max getting pole, but you always
Right.
hope for somebody else.
Yeah, I was like fingers
But
crossed.
I was hoping that Charles Leclerc, honestly, was going to get pole, but he didn't, which is fine. I think his Q2 time would have put him on pole,
Yeah.
but I think he had a problem with his car. I think like a brake something.
Because that always happens with Leclerc. It's never his fault. is
No,
it?
no,
it's always the
never
car.
go
Reminds me of
wrong.
another driver who
No.
had his best shot of ever scoring any Formula One points in the Prix, and he didn't race. Why didn't Logan Sargent race in this Grand Prix?
So Alex Albon, Alex Albon, he crashes in FP1, and so he ruins the right side of his car.
Right.
But then he travels across the track because that's how physics works.
Yeah.
And you travel across the track and you ruin the left side of your car as well. So his entire car was
Undrivable. Could not be submitted to race.
He ruined the chassis, which you can't.
Which is
replace.
what the
You
frame
can't
sits on,
fix.
so you can't fix the chassis
Yeah,
on
and
short notice.
Williams didn't have another one, so they had one car for the weekend, and
they took
chose to take
Sargent's
Logan
seat
out of his car, and which he agreed to, I think, to help the team. But
What's he gonna do? Say no?
No driver really actually wants to do that. But so Alex drove. He got 11th. Didn't even score points.
He got lapped,
Okay.
which Logan Sargent probably would have done. Maybe it's the car. Maybe it's the car.Maybe everyone just gets lapped in that car.
But so then, whatever ends up being Carlos Sainz wins, which is why I'm wearing my Ferrari jersey because they got a 1-2 because Charles Leclerc
Because
got
Max Verstappen
second.
wasn't there.
Okay, because Max Verstappen DNF'd, but
Because Max
Sergio
Verstappen
Perez only
crashed.
got 5th. Sergio Perez only got 5th.
Sergio Perez is getting
But-
carried by Verstappen every year. He's
So-
going to get replaced next season.
So it went Ferrari, McLaren, and both Mercedes DNF'd because Lewis Hamilton had engine issues and George Russell crashed on the last lap, sadly. But his
That's
car
crazy.
was
What
literally,
position was he in?
He was going for 6th or 7th.
He was trying to pass him to 6?
He was trying to pass.
Tsunoda or Stroll or Alonso?
Oh, he was trying to pass Alonso. So
he was passing for 6th.
Oh, wait. Somebody got a penalty. Fernando did. So he was passing for 5th, I think.
Okay.
Or 6th. Whatever. So, whatever. But, yeah, so we'll see if Max wins the rest of the races, but...
maybe...
Probably will.
Maybe I kind of want to see Max finish a race where he's not in first. That's my bucket list for this year of Formula One. My bucket list for every year is that Sports Hour can be forever, but unfortunately it can't. So that is going to be the end of our time together now. We will see you guys right here next week, same time, maybe, same place, definitely, for some more Sports Hour. Until then, sports fans, have a great night. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be here always. Peace.
Adios.